Every single year, 36 teams enter the Champions League convinced they can win it. Most of them are wrong. We went back through this entire 2025 to 26 tournament. Every result, every tactical shift, every dramatic comeback. And when you strip away the hope and the hype, only 3 teams ever truly had what it takes. 3 out of 36. And the reasons why tell you everything about modern football. Let's talk about it. Here's the thing about the Champions League that nobody really explains. It's not about who's the best team. It's about who's the best team under the worst possible conditions. Losing by 2 in a second leg, playing with 10 men in a foreign stadium, getting the wrong end of a penalty kick decision. The tournament doesn't reward quality alone, it rewards quality plus resilience. And that combination, genuinely rare. So when we analyze this season's field, we weren't asking who has the best players, we were asking who can handle chaos and still win. The answer kept narrowing down to the same 3 names. Start with PSG. Now, before you roll your eyes, yes, PSG have had a complicated history in this competition. Years of embarrassment, years of spending fortunes and going home early. You know the type, all glamour, no guts. But something changed when they finally won it last year. And this season, that confidence became a weapon. In theory, PSG's route to the final looked messy. They finished 11th in the league phase, 11th. They had to win a knockout playoff just to reach the last 16. At that point, most analysts were writing them off, and that's exactly when they turned into a different animal. They beat Chelsea 8-2 on aggregate, then Liverpool 4-0, then survived one of the great all-time semifinals against Bayern, going through 6-5 on aggregate. That's not a lucky run. That's a team that knows how to switch gears when the tournament actually matters. UEFA Champions League. Here's where it gets interesting. Winning their first title the previous year gave PSG a kind of confidence they'd never had before in this competition. Psychology is underrated in football. Once you've climbed the mountain once, you know the path. And PSG used that knowledge ruthlessly. UEFA Champions League. Now, let's talk about Arsenal, because Arsenal's story this season is genuinely one of the most compelling in recent Champions League history. For 6 seasons, Arsenal weren't even in this tournament. Then, under Mikel Arteta, they improved every single year until they finally reached the final. This wasn't a lucky bracket. They beat Atletico Madrid in the semi-final, one of the most defensively organized teams in Europe. They beat Bayer Leverkusen in the round of 16. They were, by almost every metric, the most consistent team in the competition. Arsenal. After 10,000 Opta simulations, the supercomputer actually ranked Arsenal as the main favorite heading into the quarterfinals, ahead of clubs with far more European history. That's not nothing. That's data telling you something real. Be in sports. In practice, though, Arsenal's strength was also their vulnerability. They were built to grind. They were built to defend. They scored first in the final, Kai Havertz inside 6 minutes. They were one result away from the greatest night in their club's history. Squawka. And then the penalties happened. This sounds simple. It isn't. Arsenal had the lead. Arsenal had the momentum. But the Champions League doesn't care about momentum. It cares about who scores last, and PSG did. Then there's Bayern Munich. Some teams you just can't eliminate from any conversation about this tournament. Bayern are one of them. They hammered Atalanta 10-2 on aggregate. They beat Real Madrid in the quarterfinals. At one point this season, Bayern looked like the most complete side left in the tournament. Vincent Kompany had built something properly dangerous. Tactical structure, attacking depth, and a certain Harry Kane who only needed to show up for one leg to remind everyone why he's the best striker on the planet. Goal.com. US. The semifinal against PSG went to 6-5 across 2 legs. 6-5. That's not a football match, that's a boxing fight. And Bayern lost it by the thinnest possible margin. Paris Saint-Germain. But here's the point. Bayern were right there. They were 1 goal different from being in that final. That's the profile we're talking about. A team with the firepower to beat anyone, the experience to handle pressure, and the squad depth to rotate without dropping off. 3 teams, different routes, same level. So, what separates the 33 teams that couldn't do it? It comes down to one thing that keeps coming up when you study tournament football. The ability to be good and ugly at the same time. Barcelona, brilliant in patches, not reliable enough when it gets tight. Real Madrid, lost to Bayern. The mystique only carries you so far. Liverpool, lost to Galatasaray in the round of 16 in one of the bigger upsets of the knockout stage. You know the type, dominant for 80 minutes, then one bad night ends everything. NBC Sports. The teams that go deep aren't always the prettiest. They're the ones that can win a game they have no right to win, and then do it again the following week. So let's return to where we started. 36 teams, months of football, hundreds of matches, and when you trace every thread back to its origin, only 3 clubs genuinely had the combination required to win this thing. PSG with their hunger to defend the crown, Arsenal with their tactical discipline and historic ambition, Bayern with their relentless firepower and tournament pedigree. PSG won it in the end, beating Arsenal on penalties in Budapest. Dembele's spot kick drawing them level before they converted 4 of 5 in the shootout. Back-to-back Champions League titles, only the second team to defend the trophy in the modern Champions League era. Squawka UEFA Champions League. But here's the thought I'll leave you with. Arsenal led in that final. They were 65 minutes away from the greatest moment in their club's history. The gap between winning the Champions League and losing it in a final is sometimes not quality. It's not tactics. It's one penalty kick going the wrong way, which means next season, when 36 teams line up again, convinced they can win it, the real question isn't who's the best. It's who's ready for that moment. If you want to be the first to find out which 3 teams make the cut next season, subscribe. We'll be watching every match so you don't have to.